Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little bit different from my usual videos, which are reading, lifestyle basically. But in this video I'll be talking about my personal methods that I used to improve my English. So I've always been a reader and I used to read books from when I was very young, as long as I can remember. And that is how gradually I got more into reading, got better at understanding, reading, writing and speaking English. So these are all my personal methods that I used, and this has also helped me talk with people internationally, and I have a lot of international friends. So it is a result of being able to speak in English. So today I'm going to help you too, and I hope you guys are excited for this video. Let's get started. And also let me tell you that this video is focused on reading and how it improved my English, but I have a lot of methods that you can use outside of reading, or if you don't want to read books. So let me know if you want a part 2 to this video. All right, let's start with today's video. So first and most important tip is to read, like starting with especially short books and the books that you are 70% able to understand. You are not going to get into books right away, so it's good to start something where you can understand most of it. I remember when I was in school, me and my brother used to read A to Z mysteries, and these were like so good. I'm sure I used to read a lot of other books which I can't remember now, but these are some of the books that really impacted my reading journey and how I was able to get into reading. I really enjoyed these books. If you are like starting your journey, you can definitely get into these. If you're a bit older, I will suggest you some books later on in this video. I'll give you all the book recommendations, don't worry, for youngsters, for adults, and in different genres. So that we'll talk about in a while. But as I was saying, A to Z mysteries like really got me into the stories. They were super short and easy to read. If you get into a very complex, very thick, chunky book, then you're not going to love reading, obviously. Whenever people say they hate reading, I think they assume by looking at the chunker of books that they're not going to like it. But if you get into shorter books and books that are easy to read, then you are definitely going to pick up an interest. So my first tip is just get into reading. That is how I gradually increased my reading abilities and get better at understanding the words on paper, get better at imagining them in my head, get better at speaking them out loud. So this was my first tip. Second tip is that whenever you read a book and you don't understand something, you don't understand what it says, you need to have a dictionary by your side and look it up. And with a pencil, you have to underline the word and write its meaning then and there. If you just read it like, okay, I saw that this word means this, you are not going to remember it. But if you write it, there is 90% chance of you remembering that word and its meaning. So this has definitely helped me in the beginning. I used to like mark my entire book with pencil. Like, you cannot imagine it right now, because right now I understand 90% of a book. I still struggle with some of the words that are new to me. But when I was younger, like, you could see my books with pencil all over. So there's no shame in writing words you don't understand the meaning of. So do this, think of it as this is my book and I'm gonna write whatever I want in it. And after years, when you read that book again or like come across it, you're gonna be so proud of yourself for coming so far ahead of the person you were and how you were not able to understand these little words, but now you do. So do yourself a favor and get a dictionary and a pencil with you. I remember, like, I was such a curious kid at school, and I used to go to my librarian and ask of her, like, what does this mean? What does this mean? And one time she got so irritated that she said, just get a dictionary. That is where I got introduced to my dictionary. I even got my dictionary right there. I don't use it as much now because I don't need it, or I just look up the word on my phone, but I have a dictionary right there. I'm going to show you it. So this is the Oxford dictionary I got. It is a very old edition, guys. I still remember getting it. Like, I got a thesaurus along with it, and this is the dictionary I used a lot. You can see, like, it's a little beat up, and it is so easy to find words in a dictionary. You can see, like, these are the dark parts, and you can know by the dark parts that it is a different alphabet, so A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and it is super fun to use a dictionary. I miss my days when I used to use this all the time. So don't look it up on phone, because you are going to get distracted and you are not going to be able to read. So don't look up words on your phone. Now I can, because I already read so much and I enjoy it, that I don't get a lot distraction from my phone, because I'm enjoying the book I'm reading. But right now, just when you are starting, use a dictionary. Get yourself one. So my third tip is to read out loud whatever you are reading. You are not going to understand a single thing if you're just beginning your reading journey, if you speak the words in your head. Like, that is not going to work. So you have to read out loud. The conversations people are having, the world the author is creating, everything, just speak out loud. Because when you speak it out loud, you kind of, in your brain, the words that you speak wrongly get corrected by the constant reading that you are doing. When you are reading those words, speaking them out loud, you are telling your brain, this is the way that this emotion is expressed. So you are able to get those words in your head. All of the things that I'm telling you guys, you have to do them all while reading. Keep it in your head, like save this video, whatever you want to do, write it somewhere. But you can't just use a dictionary but not speak out loud, because both of these things are going to help you in different aspects of learning this language. If you are going to pick up a book and use these tips, you can get better at that particular language. Whenever you are speaking out loud, use those tones and emotions. Like whenever someone is like talking to the other person and they say, oh look Susan, the weather is so good today, so speak it like that. Don't go like, oh look Susan, the weather is so good today. That is not how you speak. Bring those emotions out. So that is how you read a book. You have to get in the role and speak like the person who is saying those dialogues, or like even if there is world building, then you have to read it like you are telling yourself a story. So it is going to be very effective as well as interesting to read and understand your books, as well as improve your English. My next tip is, don't stop at book 1, because after you have read a book, you can feel like, oh, my English is still bad. It is not going to change overnight. Obviously, book 1 is just the beginning. You have to keep increasing the level of your reading material. You just can't stop at book 1. If you're reading a magazine, switch to a book that is maybe like more pages. If you are reading a 100-page book, switch to a 300-page book or a more complex book. So you have to increase the level of your reading, because that is going to help you increase your reading ability and reading speed and everything that comes afterwards. Everything is going to help you so much. So don't stop at book 1 and think, okay, like I'm done with this book, that was, oh my god, so tiring, I'm not going to do it again. Do it again. Read a book, another book. Like my next tip is that switch to different genres. Don't just stick to a particular genres. Genres are what the type of book is. There is fiction, there's non-fiction, there's classic, romance, fantasy as in Harry Potter. So there are a ton of different genres. Experiment with those. Like look up easy books in this genre, or maybe just stick with this video, because I'm going to share all of the book recommendations I have for in a while. But keep experimenting with complex and thicker books, and side by side switching to different genres as well, because all of the genres have different wordings and tones. So you're going to be able to get familiar with different wordings. When you read about a different variety of topics, different types of books, you can speak to anyone regarding any of those topics. If you stick to just a particular genre you feel comfortable and safe with, then it is not going to help you increase your vocabulary as much. So switch to different genres, switch to different reading material, switch to more complex books as you go. It can feel a little overwhelming, but trust me, it is going to be super fun when you once get into reading and practice these tips, get into reading some more. Then you're not going to read your dictionary as much. Then you're not going to need to speak out loud, because you will be able to understand everything that you are speaking in your head. And when you try different genres, you get to the genres that you like, and are able to enjoy reading more, as well as, you know, getting a taste of everything. If you know even a little bit of English, then that can get you so far through only reading. So these were all of the tips and methods that I personally used in my reading journey, and I know they are effective because they worked for me. So do practice them in your lives. Go start with a book, and you know, I have some recommendations for you. So let's just get on with them. I have some recommendations for young people, young children and adults. Both of you can read any of the books. I just mean adults as in books that adults tend to enjoy more, because you know, sometimes I read some children's books that I don't enjoy as much because they are so basic. And if you're young and you enjoy like books with a higher reading level, then you can read the books that I mentioned in adults category. So I hope this part is clear. Let's get on with the recommendations. First of all, I do recommend A to Z Mysteries. These are super short books, and there are a lot of books in the series, all mystery books, all mystery stories, and super fun. So you're going to enjoy them. Next, I'm going to recommend Nancy Drew Files or Nancy Drew series in general. These are also mystery series, but they are a little thicker than those. They're like 80 to 100 pages, I think, per story. So if you're okay with the length of these books, you can get to them. I did really enjoy these as an adult too, so you can as well. There are a lot of books in the series. You can get a set or maybe just separately for you to, you know, dip your toes in. All of these books, like, I am just giving you to, you know, get a drop of this nectar that is reading. Then you can expand your reading as you go. Next book I'm going to recommend is Boba Time by Pearl Lee, and it's about a girl named Pearl who loves boba as well as crocheting. Her mom doesn't get her love for crocheting, and she doesn't think that it is of value these days, so she is like opposed to her daughter doing crocheting all the time and thinking it as a business idea. So that is where Pearl struggles. So if you feel like there are people in your life who don't understand what you love, you can read this book. Books can be super relatable at times, and that is something you can enjoy also, you know, going through a person's journey along with yourself. Well, it has a lot of boba and a lot of crocheting. If you love these two things, you can read about them. I felt like this book was a little bit long and boring in the middle, but I think that young people can enjoy it more. I read it as an adult, so that is what my thoughts are. I think I rated it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So that is what my rating was. I hope you enjoy it if you read it. A lot of people have enjoyed this book, so you can get this book as well. There's a classic that I recommend you guys, that is Frankenstein. If you have not read this book in school, now is the time, because it was super fun as well, and it has a good moral as well. Next book I'm going to recommend is Absolutely Normal Chaos. I don't remember the name of the author. I think it's Sharon Creek. But this book was a 5-star read for me. I read it as an adult, but I still enjoyed it. It is a middle grade story. It is for young people, and it is so fun, you guys. It was a random book I bought, and I loved every second of it. It was a girl's personal, you know, diary, and everything she wrote in it, every little thing that happened in her life every day. So it was really fun to read and kind of snoopy. Like, this was a really fun book. I'm giving you book recommendations in different genres, so you can, you know, experiment yourself if you feel like inclined to read a certain book. All right, let's get to the books that I recommend adults or more mature readers. First book, if you want to get into romance, or if you're already a reader, I'll recommend Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. I love this book. This is the only book I liked by Sarah Adams. I did read The Practice Makes Perfect, but I didn't like it very much, so this is the only one that I'll recommend. It is super cute, best friends to lovers situation kind of book, and it is so good. You have to read this book, even if you don't want to improve your English and just looking for recommendations. Next book I'll recommend, or rather series, is by Sophie Kinsella, the Shopaholic series. There are a lot of series by her, but I recommend this one because I've read a lot of books in the Shopaholic series and I love them. Sophie Kinsella is your way to go. She's an awesome author and I love her books. I loved her books a few years back, so maybe you can read it if you are like 18 or something. that is when you can enjoy them more. Next book I'm going to recommend is a classic, which is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Now you have come across this book several times before, so what are you waiting for? Just get on with it already, you know. Now this book has Old English, so maybe get an abridged version, which is a more refined version, not exactly as it was written, but a bit easier to understand. So this book I highly recommend. I really liked reading it. I liked watching it too, but reading it was much more fun. Next book I recommend is Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerry Maniscalco. I have a whole video regarding this series, this entire trilogy. Kingdom of the Wicked is a 3-book series, but I only recommend the first book, and it was super fun. It is a fantasy mystery, which means an imaginative world, and there is a mystery to solve, and there are witches as well. So if you are intrigued by that sort of thing, you can dip your toes into fantasy as well. So these were all of my recommendations. I hope you guys are going to use all of the tips that I shared with you guys. Get yourself some books or the books that I recommended you. Just know that it is a journey and it's not going to be super fast, but it can be easy and, you know, easier as you go. So get into reading. What are you waiting for? Because it is so rewarding. I enjoy reading so much. The world the authors create are just so bright, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Let me know if you want a part 2 to give you some tips on improving your English more and more. If you don't like reading, I have some tips for you too. So let me know in the comment section below how you feel about that. All right, I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, goodbye.